The stars shimmered in the void as the Valtteri scout ship slowed from faster-than-light travel. Commander Dorn stood tall, his gray skin reflecting the blue glow of the command screens. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he studied the small blue planet. "Scan complete, Commander," reported Officer Wren. "The planet shows signs of primitive civilization. They have basic flight, simple weapons, and limited space travel." Dorn made a clicking sound with his mouthparts. This was perfect. The Valtteri Empire needed new resources, and planets with weak species were the easiest targets. "Send a message to the fleet. Tell them we have found our next conquest." Jack Reed woke to the sound of his phone buzzing. The retired Special Forces captain groaned as he checked the time. 3:42 a.m. The caller ID showed Military Command. "Reed here," he answered, instantly alert despite the hour. "Captain Reed, this is General Adams. We need you to come in. Something big is happening." Within an hour, Reed sat in a secure room deep beneath the Pentagon. The walls were lined with screens showing strange objects approaching Earth. "They appeared 3 hours ago," explained General Adams, pointing to the largest screen. 7 ships, unlike anything we've ever seen. They're not responding to any communications." "Aliens?" Reed asked, saying out loud what everyone was thinking. "That's our best guess. Every major nation is monitoring them. Russia, China, everyone is seeing the same thing." A young analyst rushed into the room. "Sir, the objects have changed course. They're spreading out, taking positions around the planet." Aboard the Valtteri command ship, Dorn addressed his captains. "The scan shows their weapons cannot harm our ships. Their communications are primitive. We will show our power and then accept their surrender." He pointed to a map of Earth. "Target their military bases first, then their centers of government. They will understand quickly who is in charge." The captains saluted and returned to their ships. Dorn felt only satisfaction. This was how the Valtteri had built their empire across 17 star systems. Find the weak, show force, and rule. Reed was driving home to check on his sister when the sky lit up. A beam of intense light shot down from above, striking somewhere near the military base 20 miles away. Then another beam, and another. The radio crackled with emergency broadcasts as Reed pulled over. Reports were coming in from around the world. Washington, Moscow, Beijing, London, all were reporting attacks. His phone rang again. It was Adams. "Reed, it's a full-scale attack. No warning, no demands. They're targeting military installations worldwide." "Casualties?" Reed asked, his voice tight. "Thousands already. We're launching everything we have. But our missiles, they're not reaching them." Some kind of shield. As Reed watched, a bright light appeared in the sky above his hometown. His heart sank as he realized what was about to happen. The beam struck directly at the base. The shock wave reached him seconds later, rocking his car and shattering windows for miles. Smoke rose in a terrible column. "The demonstration is complete," Dorn announced, satisfied. "Send the terms of surrender." The message was broadcast worldwide, in every language. "People of Earth, we are the Valtteri Empire. Your planet is now under our control. Surrender your weapons and accept our rule, or face extinction. You have 24 hours to comply." In the ruins of what had been his home, Reed pulled survivors from the rubble. His military training took over as he set up a makeshift medical area. His mind, however, was racing with something else entirely. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They had attacked without understanding who they were attacking. Humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years. They had survived ice ages, plagues, and countless disasters. And now, they would have to fight again. As night fell, Reed looked up at the stars where the alien ships waited. The Valtteri thought this was over. They thought humans would simply give up. They had no idea what was coming. 3 months had passed since the Valtteri attack. Commander Dorn paced the bridge of his ship, his irritation growing with each step. "Another supply depot destroyed?" he asked, his voice sharp. Officer Wren nodded. Yes, Commander. That makes 7 this week. The humans are using small teams that strike and disappear. Dorn slammed his fist on the control panel. This was not how conquests were supposed to go. By now, the humans should have accepted Valtteri rule. Instead, resistance was growing stronger. Increase patrols. Find their leaders. Make examples of any humans who resist, he ordered. Deep underground in what had once been a subway tunnel, Dr. Emma Wilson carefully took apart a Valtteri weapon. The physicist had been working nonstop since the invasion, trying to understand the alien technology. Any progress? Asked Reed, entering the makeshift lab. He looked tired. The resistance had been fighting hard, but at great cost. Emma nodded, her eyes bright with excitement despite her exhaustion. Look at this, she said, pointing to a glowing blue component. Their weapons use a completely different energy principle than ours. But I think I understand how it works now. Reed studied the disassembled weapon. Can we use it? Better, Emma replied. I think we can copy it. And more importantly, I found something interesting about their shields. Before she could explain further, Tom Miller rushed in. The former demolitions expert was now Reed's second in command. Jack, they found one of our shelters in the old business district. They're rounding up everyone. Reed grabbed his gear. How many people? At least 50, mostly families. Reed turned to Emma. Your shield discovery will have to wait. We need to move now. In his private chamber, Dorn reviewed reports from around the planet. The humans were unusually difficult to control. In every previous conquest, showing force had been enough to break resistance. Commander, a voice called from his communication device. We've captured a group of humans. They appear to be hiding weapons. Make an example of them, Dorn ordered without hesitation. Reed and his team moved through the ruins of the city, staying in the shadows. Kate Jones, a former computer specialist, checked her tablet. I've tapped into their communication frequency, she whispered. They're holding the people at Central Square. Reed signaled to Miller and 4 other fighters. We'll approach from the south. Kate, you and Marcus take the east route. Marcus Bell, who had been a spy before the invasion, nodded silently. As they moved closer, they saw a terrible sight. The Valtteri had lined up the captured humans in the square. 6 alien soldiers stood guard while a Valtteri officer addressed the prisoners. This is your punishment for resistance, the officer was saying. Reed gave the signal. His team fired their weapons, modified with Emma's discoveries, at the aliens. To the Valtteri's surprise, these human weapons actually penetrated their armor. In the confusion, Marcus and Kate attacked from the other side. The aliens, not expecting a coordinated assault, fell quickly. Everyone follow us, Reed called to the prisoners. Stay low and move fast. Back at Valtteri headquarters, Dorn received news of the failed execution and the dead soldiers. Impossible, he hissed. Their weapons shouldn't harm our troops. Sir, Wren reported nervously, it appears the humans have modified their technology. They're learning to adapt. Dorn's 4 eyes narrowed. This was unprecedented. No species had ever managed to understand and adapt Valtteri technology so quickly. In the underground lab, Reed watched as Emma tested her latest discovery. The Valtteri shields have a harmonic frequency, she explained. Hit them at exactly the right frequency, and they fail completely. Reed looked at the growing resistance army around him. People from all walks of life had joined. Former soldiers, teachers, doctors, engineers, all working together. How soon can we mass-produce these new weapons? He asked. Emma smiled. We already started. The Valtteri made one critical mistake, Jack. What's that? They assumed because we were technologically behind, we couldn't catch up. But that's the thing about humans. We're really good at learning and adapting. Reed nodded. And they're about to learn it the hard way. Around the world, similar scenes were playing out as humanity prepared for something the Valtteri had never expected. a counterattack. The old military bunker buzzed with activity as Reed gathered his team. Maps and plans covered the walls, and weapons modified with Emma's technology filled the racks. "This is our target," Reed said, pointing to a holographic display showing a massive Valtteri command ship hovering above what used to be New York City. Emma's latest intelligence suggests this ship controls all Valtteri operations in the Western Hemisphere. Kate looked at the imposing image. "How do we even get close to that thing?" "It's surrounded by fighter ships and defense systems." Reed smiled slightly. "That's where Emma's latest breakthrough comes in." On cue, Emma entered the room carrying what looked like backpacks with strange blue devices attached. "These are shield modulators," she explained. "They bend light around you, similar to how Valtteri cloaking technology works. They won't make you completely invisible, but they'll confuse their sensors enough to get you on board." Miller whistled. "So we're actually going to sneak onto an alien mothership? That's crazy." "Crazy is exactly what they don't expect," Marcus said quietly. "They think in straight lines. We don't." Reed nodded. "We have one shot at this. The mission is simple. Get in, download their command data, plant the disruptors, and get out." Commander Dorn studied the global battle map with growing concern. The humans were becoming more problematic by the day. Their attacks were more coordinated, more effective. Somehow, they had adapted weapons that could penetrate Valtteri armor. "Sir," Officer Wren reported, "we've lost contact with outposts in Sector 7 and 12. Dorn's patience was wearing thin. Send reinforcements. Triple the guard at all command facilities." "There's something else," Wren added hesitantly. "Our scientists have been studying human brain patterns. They're unusual." "Explain," Dorn demanded. "Humans appear to have neural pathways that allow for extreme adaptability under stress. They actually think better and faster when threatened." Dorn considered this information. In all their conquests across the stars, the Valtteri had never encountered such a trait. Their own species had evolved toward specialization. Each Valtteri was born for a specific role and excelled at it. But this flexibility in human thinking was concerning. Under cover of darkness, Reed's team approached the massive Valtteri ship. They wore the shield modulators, which hummed softly and made their outlines blur slightly. "Remember, stay together," Reed whispered. "These shields work better as a group." They'd reached the underside of the ship where a maintenance hatch was located, exactly where their intel had indicated. Kate attached a small device to the control panel. "Their security systems are complex," she said, fingers moving quickly across her tablet. "But they always follow the same patterns." The hatch slid open silently. "We're in," she said. The interior of the Valtteri ship was massive, with high ceilings and corridors bathed in blue light. The team moved carefully, avoiding patrols of alien soldiers. Marcus led them toward the central command room, following the map Emma had created based on captured Valtteri data. "2 guards ahead," he whispered, peering around a corner. Miller pulled out a small sphere, another of Emma's creations. He rolled it toward the guards. It released a gas specifically designed to affect Valtteri biology, and both aliens collapsed silently. "Command center should be through these doors," Marcus said. Kate connected her device to the door controls. "I need 3 minutes." "Make it 2, Reed replied, watching for patrols. Inside the command center, the team moved quickly. Kate plugged into the main computer, downloading fleet positions, communication codes, and tactical plans. "This is incredible," she whispered. "Their entire battle strategy, supply chain information, everything." Meanwhile, Miller placed disruptors at key points around the room, devices that would create a cascade failure in the ship's communication systems. 30 seconds and we're out," Reed ordered. Back on Earth, Emma received the transmitted data. Her eyes widened as she saw what Kate had discovered. "This changes everything," she said to the resistance leaders gathered around her. "We now know exactly how their fleet operates, where their weaknesses are. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, sending the intelligence to resistance cells worldwide. "Tell everyone to prepare," she said. "It's time to show the Valtteri what humans are really capable of." On his command ship, Dorn was suddenly alerted by alarms blaring throughout the vessel. "What's happening?" he demanded. Wren looked up from his station, fear in all four of his eyes. "Sir, our systems are failing. Communications are down, and we're detecting coordinated human attacks on all our major installations." For the first time since arriving at Earth, Dorn felt something new: doubt. Admiral Vex, Supreme Commander of the Valtteri fleet, arrived at Earth orbit in his massive flagship. The situation had become serious enough to require his personal attention. "Report," he demanded as Commander Dorn stood before him, visibly uncomfortable. "Admiral, the humans have proven difficult," Dorn began. "They've adapted their weapons to penetrate our shields. They've hijacked our communication systems. We've lost 23 outposts in the last week alone." Vex's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. They are a primitive species." "Not as primitive as we thought," Dorn replied. "They learn quickly and fight in unexpected ways. They don't follow normal patterns of warfare." Vex moved to the viewing window, looking down at the blue planet. "Send a message to the homeworld. Request reinforcements." "I already did, Admiral. The nearest battle group is 3 months away." For the first time in his long career, Vex felt uncertain. The Valtteri Empire had conquered 17 star systems without serious resistance. This was unprecedented. In the underground resistance headquarters, Reed and Emma reviewed the battle reports from around the world. The data stolen from the Valtteri command ship had changed everything. "Sydney has pushed the Valtteri back 10 miles, Reed noted. "Moscow reports their defense grid is down. Beijing has captured 3 enemy ships." Emma looked up from her computer. "The new shield breaker weapons are working better than expected. But there's something else we need to discuss." She brought up a holographic image of a Valtteri prisoner. "This is Professor Lon. He was on one of the ships we captured. He's a Valtteri scientist who's willing to talk." Reed raised an eyebrow. "Can we trust him?" "I think so. He doesn't believe in what his people are doing, and what he's told us explains a lot." Reed followed Emma to a secure room where the alien sat. Professor Lon was smaller than most Valtteri, with lighter gray skin and only 3 eyes instead of 4. "Tell Captain Reed what you told me," Emma said. Lon looked at Reed with his strange eyes. "The Valtteri have conquered many worlds, but we have never, in our entire history, faced serious resistance after our initial attack. When species surrender quickly, they are allowed to live as our subjects." "And when they don't surrender?" Reed asked. "This has never happened before," Lon said simply. "Our entire military strategy is based on quick victory through superior technology and fear. We have no experience with what you call guerrilla warfare." Reed exchanged a glance with Emma. "You're saying we're the first species to fight back effectively?" "Yes, and it is causing great confusion among our leaders." Kate worked frantically at her computer station, surrounded by screens showing Valtteri ship movements. "I've broken into their main communication network," she announced to Miller, who stood guard nearby. "I can now send false orders to their fleet." Miller grinned. "So we can make them fly into each other?" "Better," Kate replied. "We can make them think they're being attacked by their own ships." Admiral Vex reviewed the latest disaster reports with growing alarm. Half of the northern continent was now back under human control. 3 major command ships had been destroyed. And strangest of all, his captains were reporting attacks from ships that turned out to be friendly fire. "What is happening?" he demanded. Officer Wren hesitated before answering. "Sir, it appears the humans have infiltrated our communication systems. They're sending false orders, creating confusion." "That's not possible. Our systems are too complex for them to understand." "Evidently not, sir." A loud explosion rocked the flagship. Alarms blared throughout the ship. "We're under attack," Ren reported. Human fighters, approaching from all sides. Vex stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The humans had somehow coordinated a massive global counterattack, and for the first time, he felt something no Valtteri military leader had ever experienced before. Fear. Reed stood on a hill overlooking what had once been a Valtteri stronghold. Now, human flags flew above the alien structures. Fighters and tanks, modified with Valtteri technology, moved into position for the next assault. Emma joined him, holding a tablet with the latest intelligence. "Admiral Vex has arrived," she said. "He's their top military commander." Reed nodded. "Good. That means they're taking us seriously now. The question is, what will they do next? They've never lost before." Reed looked up at the sky, where Valtteri ships were visible as small dots. "They'll either bring in everything they have, or they'll run. Either way, they're finally learning what they should have researched before attacking." "What's that?" Emma asked. "Never start a fight with someone who has nothing to lose," Reed answered. "Especially not humans." 6 months after the invasion, the tide had completely turned. Humans were no longer simply defending. They were taking the fight to the Valtteri. In a repurposed aircraft hangar, Reed inspected the fleet of captured and modified Valtteri ships. Once alien technology now hummed under human control. "Are the pilots ready?" Reed asked Miller, who had been training the first group of human pilots to fly the alien craft. "As ready as they'll ever be," Miller replied. "These ships are actually easier to fly than our own planes once you understand the control system. It's like they were designed to be simple." Emma approached them, excitement visible on her tired face. "The jump drives are operational. We've tested them successfully 3 times now." Reed nodded. This was the moment they had been planning for months. "Then it's time. Tell the pilots to prepare for launch." Admiral Vex stared in disbelief at the reports coming in from across the solar system. Human ships, Valtteri ships piloted by humans, had been detected near Mars, Jupiter's moons, and even in the outer reaches near their supply stations. "How did they learn to operate our vessels so quickly?" he demanded. No one on his command staff had an answer. The humans were proving to be unlike any species the Valtteri had encountered in their long history of conquest. "Sir," Officer Wren reported, "we've lost contact with the fuel depot in the asteroid belt, and our supply convoy from the outer system is under attack." Vex slammed his fist on the console. "Deploy all remaining ships to protect the supply lines, and send an urgent message to the homeworld. We need reinforcements immediately." In the darkness of space, near the orbit of Saturn, Reed stood on the bridge of the captured Valtteri cruiser they had named Defiance. Through the view screen, he watched as 5 other human-piloted ships moved into formation. "All ships report ready," Kate announced from her position at communications. Reed took a deep breath. This would be humanity's first deliberate attack beyond Earth orbit. Begin the operation. The small fleet of ships disappeared in flashes of light as their jump drives activated, reappearing near a massive Valtteri supply station, hidden on one of Saturn's moons. The attack was swift and precise. The station, never designed to withstand an assault from their own technology, quickly fell. "Download all their data," Reed ordered as boarding teams secured the facility. "And prepare the packages." The packages were Emma's latest creation. Self-replicating computer viruses designed to infiltrate the Valtteri network and spread back to their homeworld. On the Valtteri homeworld, a planet called Valtyria in a distant star system, Emperor Krell received the disturbing reports from Earth. "This is unacceptable," he hissed to his advisors. "A primitive species should not be able to resist us, let alone fight back." The Imperial Science Minister spoke cautiously. "Your Majesty, our preliminary analysis suggests the humans possess unusual mental adaptability. They learn and change faster than any species we have encountered." "I don't want excuses," Krell snapped. "I want solutions. Prepare the planet killer fleet. If they will not submit, they will be eliminated." The ministers exchanged nervous glances. The planet-killer weapons had never been used before. They were considered too extreme even for the Volturi. Back on Earth, Emma worked with Professor Lon in her laboratory. The Volturi scientist had become an invaluable ally, providing insights into his people's technology and culture. "I've been analyzing the data from the Saturn station," Emma said. "It looks like they're calling for something called a planet-killer fleet." Lon's three eyes widened in alarm. "That is our most destructive weapon. It can crack a planet's crust, make it uninhabitable. Even in our worst wars, we've never used them." Emma's face paled. "How long do we have?" "The fleet would take at least 2 months to reach Earth from our homeworld," Lon explained. "But there is something else you should know. The Emperor himself must authorize their use. He is not a military leader. He has never faced a real challenge before. He may make mistakes." Emma immediately called Reed on the secure line. "Jack, we have a serious problem, but also, maybe, an opportunity." As she explained what she had learned, a plan began to form in Reed's mind. The humans had already taken the fight to the solar system. Perhaps it was time to take it even further. "Tell Professor Lon I need everything he knows about Volteria's defenses," Reed said. "It's time to show the Emperor exactly who he's dealing with." The command center beneath the ruins of London buzzed with activity as world leaders gathered to hear Reed's bold plan. Maps of not just Earth, but the entire solar system and beyond filled the screens around them. "The Volturi are preparing to send planet-killer weapons," Reed explained. "We can't wait for them to arrive. We need to take the fight directly to them." "You're suggesting an attack on their homeworld?" asked the Chinese general. "Is that even possible?" Emma stepped forward. "Thanks to Professor Lon and the data we've gathered, we know the location of Volteria. We've also learned how their jump drives work for long-distance travel. And we have this," Reed added, revealing a small device. "The master control key we captured from Admiral Vex's ship. It will give us access to their defense network." The room fell silent as the implications became clear. "This is humanity's greatest gamble," Reed continued. "But it's our best chance. While they expect us to huddle here in fear, we'll strike at the heart of their empire." On his flagship orbiting Earth, Admiral Vex received the worst news of his career. "The Emperor's ship has entered the system," Officer Wren reported. "Emperor Krell demands your presence immediately." Vex felt cold dread. The Emperor himself had never before left the homeworld for a military campaign. This was unprecedented. When Vex entered the royal vessel, he found Emperor Krell seated on a throne of metallic alloy, his 6 eyes glowing with anger. "Explain your failure, Admiral," Krell demanded. Vex bowed low. "Your Majesty, the humans have proven unexpectedly resourceful. They—" "Silence," Krell interrupted. "I will take personal command now. The planet killers will arrive in 3 weeks. I will watch personally as this troublesome world is cracked open." "Your Majesty," Vex cautioned, "perhaps we should consider another approach. These humans could be valuable subjects if properly." "Are you questioning my judgment, Admiral?" Krell's voice was dangerously soft. Vex hesitated, then bowed again. "No, Your Majesty." But for the first time in his life, a Volturi officer began to question whether their empire's methods were flawed. Reed's team prepared aboard the largest captured Volturi vessel, now renamed Humanity's Hope. Kate had reprogrammed its systems, while Miller had loaded it with Emma's most powerful weapons. Marcus supervised the special operations team that would accompany Reed. "Jump drive is ready," Kate reported. "We can reach Volteria in approximately 6 days." "What's our chance of success?" Miller asked quietly as he checked his weapons. Reed looked around at the determined faces of his crew, a mix of soldiers, scientists, and ordinary people who had learned to fight. "Better than the Volturi think. They still don't understand what they're dealing with." Emma made final adjustments to a special device, a modified version of the shield disruptor, scaled up to affect an entire planetary defense system. This will only work if we get close enough to their main defense hub, she warned. Reed nodded. Then that's where we're going. The ship shuddered as its engines powered up. The stars outside the viewscreen blurred, and with a flash of light, they jumped into deep space, the first human vessel to travel beyond the solar system. Emperor Krell stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching Earth on the main screen. Soon, the planet killers would arrive, and this irritating problem would be solved permanently. A junior officer approached nervously. Your Majesty, we've detected an anomaly. A ship has just jumped from Earth orbit. Destroy it, Krell ordered dismissively. It's already gone, Your Majesty. It appears to have jumped to Valteria. Krell froze. What did you say? The trajectory calculations indicate it's headed directly toward our homeworld. For the first time in his long rule, Emperor Krell felt something unfamiliar. Fear. Contact homeworld defense immediately, he commanded, and prepare my personal ship. We're returning to Valteria now. As his ship prepared for emergency jump, Krell stared at the image of Earth with new understanding. These humans were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting to win. They had somehow learned the location of the Valteri homeworld and were bold enough to attack it. The species that had once seemed primitive had proven to be the most dangerous the Valteri had ever encountered. The skies of Valteria glowed with energy bursts as the planet's defense systems tried in vain to stop the human ship. Reed stood firm on the bridge of humanity's hope as it weaved through the barrage. Emma's shield modifications are holding, Kate reported, her fingers dancing across the control panel. Their weapons can't lock onto us properly. Marcus pointed to a massive structure on the planet below. That's the Imperial Defense Center. According to Lon's information, all their military commands flow through there. Reed nodded. Take us in. This ends today. The ship descended through clouds of purple gas, heading straight for the heart of the Valteri Empire. As they approached, dozens of enemy fighters rose to meet them. Ready Emma's device, Reed ordered. Miller placed the shield disruptor in the center of the bridge and activated it. A wave of energy pulsed outward, and suddenly the attacking ships faltered and drifted. It worked, Kate exclaimed. Their systems are down. Land near the Imperial Palace, Reed said. It's time to meet the Emperor. Emperor Krell's ship arrived at Valteria just in time to see the human vessel landing in the central plaza of the capital city. He watched in disbelief as his elite guards fell before the advancing humans. How is this possible? He demanded of no one in particular. On his private channel, Admiral Vex spoke carefully. Your Majesty, I suggest immediate negotiations. These humans have proven. Never, Krell shouted. The Valteri Empire does not negotiate. We conquer. Your Majesty, Vex continued, his voice firmer now. For the first time in our history, we face a species that has brought the fight to our homeworld. The humans didn't just resist, they counterattacked. They adapted our own technology and used it against us. We must reconsider our approach. Krell sat in stunned silence as the human team approached his palace. Reed, Emma, Kate, Miller, and Marcus walked through the grand hallways of the Imperial Palace. The few guards who tried to stop them quickly fell to Emma's specialized weapons. When they reached the throne room, they found Emperor Krell waiting, surrounded by his advisors and Admiral Vex. You have invaded the sovereign center of the Valteri Empire, Krell began, trying to sound intimidating despite his fear. For this, you will. No, Reed interrupted. You invaded Earth. You killed millions of our people without provocation. You thought we would surrender easily. And when we didn't, you planned to destroy our entire planet. He stepped forward, placing Emma's device on the floor. This is connected to every Valteri ship in your fleet. With one command, we can shut down your entire empire. Krell's 6 eyes blinked rapidly. What do you want? Peace, Emma said, stepping forward. But on our terms. 1 month later, Reed stood in the same throne room, but the atmosphere was completely different. Representatives from Earth sat on one side, Volteri officials on the other. Admiral Vex had replaced Krell as the leader of the Volteri. "The peace agreement is ready for signing," Vex said, pushing forward a document written in both human and Volteri languages. Reed nodded. "This marks a new chapter for both our peoples." The terms were clear. The Volteri would withdraw from Earth. They would share their technology peacefully. And most importantly, they would change their approach to other worlds. No more conquests. As Reed signed the document, Emma caught his eye and smiled. What had begun as an invasion had ended with humanity taking its place among the stars. 6 months later, Reed stood on the observation deck of Earth's first official starship. Built with Volteri technology but distinctly human in design, it represented humanity's new future. "Ready for your first mission as ambassador?" Emma asked, joining him at the window. Below them, Earth shone like a blue jewel. "I still can't believe how much has changed," Reed said. "A year ago, we were fighting for survival. Now we're heading out to meet other civilizations." Admiral Vex, now the Volteri ambassador to Earth, entered the room. The former enemies had developed an unlikely respect for each other. "The Galactic Council is eager to meet humans," Vex said. "Your species has become quite famous. The ones who defeated the undefeatable Volteri." Reed smiled. "We never wanted to be warriors. We just wanted to survive." "And that," Vex replied, "is what made you so formidable. You fought not for conquest, but for life." As the ship's engines powered up, Reed looked out at the stars that were no longer distant points of light, but future destinations. The species that had declared war on humanity had indeed come to regret everything. But from that terrible beginning had come an unexpected end. Humanity's rise as a power in the galaxy, respected not just for its strength in war, but for its wisdom in peace.